When I became a member of the Sisters of Divine Providence over 40 years ago, the president of Roche College was Sister Mary Joan Coultas. At the time, Sister Joan, as she is more commonly known, also held an elected position in the Sisters of Divine Providence as a member of the Provincial Leadership Council. Both positions are full-time, and she held them simultaneously. I'm not sure anyone has done that since that time, so demanding is each of those positions. But then there are few women like Sister Mary Joan Coultas, capable of balancing the needs of two complex institutions, both in a period of significant change. Sister Joan was the third sister president of La Roche following Sister De La Salle Mahler, who had led the young college through a challenging time in the late 1960s and early 1970s. Sister Joan served as Dean of Students under Sister De La Salle and rose to the presidency in 1975 following Sister De La Salle's election to the leadership of the international governing body of the Congregation of the Sisters of Divine Providence. Sister Joan served as president from 1975 to 1981. And just as she had worked for her predecessor, she mentored the next president, Sister Margaret Huber, who worked for her and succeeded her and presided over the growing college until 1992. These three women, Sisters De La Salle Mahler, Mary Joan Coultas, and Maggie Huber, served La Roche as presidents for a combined 23 years. And they are personal role models for me, giving witness to the potential of strong women leaders to shape the mission of a young Catholic college. Together, they laid the foundations for La Roche College to become La Roche University, and I'll forever be grateful for the contributions they made and the impact that it has had on my own time as president of La Roche. The late 1970s, when our honoree was president, saw lots of changes at La Roche College. Growth in enrollment, the launching of new academic programs, the construction of apartment-like residence halls, unique in those days, and of course the fundraising campaign to build this science center. As president, Sister Joan presided over a time in the history of La Roche characterized by expansion, both physically and academically. Over the course of her career, Sister Joan has been an exemplary educator, not only as an administrator, but with a PhD in psychology. She also had an impact on students in the classroom as an excellent teacher. What better symbol of these endeavors than a seminar room dedicated to student engagement with faculty in a small group learning setting? Which brings us to the dedication today of this seminar room in the newly renovated Palumbo Science Center. It seems more than appropriate to honor the woman who led the capital campaign that constructed this academic building dedicated to the sciences with a learning space in this facility. It was her vision and her leadership that made this a reality 40 years ago and laid the foundation for La Roche's excellent academic programs in the physical sciences. From that beginning, we now have a strong regional reputation not only in the hard sciences, but also in the health sciences and healthcare majors, such as nursing and nurse anesthesia. I want to thank everyone who generously supported the naming of this seminar room for Sister Joan. I particularly want to thank Mike Malinik, Gina Miller, and other alumni from the late 1970s who led this effort to honor their beloved president and former dean of students, Sister Mary Joan Coultas. Unfortunately, Sister Joan has had some health issues of late that have prevented her from attending this dedication in person. But we will share with her the videotaped tributes and the ribbon-cutting ceremony, and we wish her increased strength and comfort in the days ahead.
Hello, and thank you for joining us as we honor Sister Mary Joan Coultas, former psychology faculty member, dean of students, and the fourth president of Roche University. It is only fitting that in honor of the president who led the effort to bring the Palumbo Science Center into being, that we name a prominent space in the newly renovated Science Center in her name. This leads me to today's dedication to the Sister Mary Joan Coultas Seminar Room. This beautiful room is strikingly visible upon entering the second floor of the Science Center. It features glass walls and state-of-the-art technology, and serves a central role in the Science Center. For years to come, it will be used for classrooms, for presentations, and as a space for student and faculty collaboration and idea generation. It will be used as a debriefing room following labs, an area for students to practice their presentations and to study, while having access to a whiteboard for problem solving. And right now, during the pandemic, it's a valuable area used for one-on-one faculty-student interactions and small group study sessions where social distancing can be used. Now, on behalf of the students, faculty, and staff of Roche University, thank you, Sister Mary Joan, for your many contributions to this community. I'd now like to introduce Mr. Mike Malenik, a former student during the Sister Mary Joan presidency and a member of the University Board of Trustees since 2012. Mike graduated from La Roche in 1977 with a bachelor's degree in mathematics and business administration, followed by an MBA from the Harvard Business School in 1986. Mike is the president and CEO of the University of North Texas Foundation Incorporated and resides in Denton, Texas. Mike is an incredibly thoughtful, supportive, and insightful individual. We are most grateful to Mike for his leadership, his business acumen, extraordinary generosity, and for spearheading a campaign to raise funds in Sister Mary Joan's honor.
Thank you. I'm very pleased to be part of today's dedication of the Sister Mary Joan Coultas Seminar Room. The Seminar Room is located in the heart of La Roche's newly renovated, state-of-the-art Palumbo Science Center, and it's a very fitting tribute to Sister Mary Joan Coultas, who as president of the university launched its first ever capital campaign to fund construction of a science building and oversaw its opening in 1980. I'm a 1977 graduate of La Roche. Sister Mary Joan became president halfway during my time there. She was already well known and well loved as a member of the university's psychology faculty and for having served as its dean of students. La Roche was a bit smaller then and had only determined 5 years prior to become a coeducational institution. Sister Mary Joan's committed and visionary leadership was exactly what was needed to guide a dynamic growing institution. Along with the Science Center, 2 new student residence halls were also constructed during her term as president. I got to know Sister Mary Joan well as a work-study student in the Dean of Students office, and to work with her much more closely when I became Student Senate President. I'll tell a quick story. It's one she may not even recall, but left a lasting impression on me. The opening of one of those new student residence halls was delayed by nearly 2 months because the furniture delivery was late. Students were temporarily housed in lesser accommodations, and on their behalf, I went to see Sister Mary Joan to seek refunds. I'm sure she had other pressing matters on her plate, but she listened patiently and then said, "You're right." She called the president of the furniture company, put him on speakerphone, waved me over, and said, "Now tell him what you just told me." When I finished, she said, "Mike's right. How do you plan to fix this?" He ultimately agreed. Students got their refunds. But I walked away with 2 very important life lessons. First, it's important to take a principled stand for what you believe to be right. And second, when you're in a leadership role, pay attention to even the small things you do. They may have a profound influence on somebody else. Nearly 10 years later, Sister Mary Joan wrote one of my recommendation letters for grad school application. And from 2012 through the present, I've had the pleasure and the honor to serve alongside her on La Roche's Board of Trustees. My story is not unusual. In addition to putting La Roche on a positive path, Sister Mary Joan has similarly touched the lives of hundreds of La Roche students. They can't all be here today, but I do speak for all of them in expressing our deep gratitude, respect, and love. Congratulations to La Roche University, and especially to Sister Mary Joan, for dedication of this seminar room in her honor. May its use bless the lives of current and future generations of La Roche students, just as she did ours. Thank you very much.
When I first met Sister Mary Joan 23 years ago, I'd see her teaching a class of senior psychology students in a small, unobtrusive, windowless seminar room in our faculty wing every Monday and Wednesday, until one day I stopped in and said hello. And after that time, every time I walked by, for that half second that I passed that open doorway, Sister Mary Joan and I would exchange a smile and a wave. These waves went on for the entire semester. Now, Sister Mary Joan has a presence about her that commands respect, but she does it in a personally accessible way. So all of that time, throughout that semester, I just assumed she was one of our esteemed sisters. I had no idea she was President Sister Mary Joan Coultas. That little room wasn't, in my view, enough for someone like Sister Mary Joan. This one is much, much better, because Sister Mary Joan Coultas, former president of La Roche University, has had a lasting imprint on this university and on the many, many students, faculty, and staff she has known and affected along the way.
Let us proceed with the ribbon cutting for the Sister Mary Joan Coultas Seminar Room.
This concludes our program. Sister Candace, Mike, thank you for your wonderful thoughts and your reflections. But most importantly, thank you, Sister Mary Joan, for all that you have done for La Roche University.